Alright guys, so this is a review that's been a long time coming. And, yeah, I've been meaning to do a review of this, because this is a comic that has been out for a while. Like, this is a comic that's been out for a while, and it was sent to me in one of the, earlier packages from my good friend Chris. And by earlier, I mean way back in early April. But hey, better late than never, and I was reading all these other comics and reviewing all of them that he'd been sending me. And yeah, so we're going to be reviewing Spider-Man Life Story. So, Spider-Man Life Story is basically the Marvel Universe if, like, stuff aged. Like, that's kind of what it is like, it's basically what if the characters got old? Like, what if the characters just grew old and, they got older and were just like, oh, yeah, the world changed, like, real-life effects and changes occur. Kind of like a lot like Watchmen. Like, there are legit talks about, like, superhuman beings and, like, talking about all these, you know, changes in the world and how superheroes affect the world around them. It's a lot of, like, big stuff. It's a lot of, like, major points to all of this. So, yeah, so each of the 6-issue miniseries takes place in a different era, starting from the 60s all the way going to the 2010s in 2019. And basically, it's a very condensed story that basically each era more or less combines all these major eras of Spider-Man. Like, the 60s takes place 4 years after Peter became Spider-Man, and, you know, Peter in this continuity is, like, thinking about joining the, you know, the Vietnam War that's raging on. You have the stuff with Norman Osborn that becomes an issue throughout the story. You have a lot in here, and I really love Chip Zdarsky. I forgot to mention, yeah, it's Chip Zdarsky who writes the comic. I really love Zdarsky's, like, because he calls out Peter for being, like, you know, in with guilt, like, he's just obsessed, like, he's just kind of wallows in guilt and everything his fault. I love that, like, in these comics, like, one thing I get about, like, one thing that always is interesting about most alternate universe comics is that they will do the logical things, like, characters will do the logical things and say the logical things that you would think they would say. Like, Peter, in this continuity, marries Gwen Stacy, and basically what happens is that she calls him out, like, basically saying, the weight of the world is not your fault. And the same thing with Mary Jane, it's just Peter has this guilt complex, and he can't stop. Yeah, so I really like that. The 80s is really cool because the 80s era, like, I really love the 80s because it more or less just goes full on, Secret Wars, Black Suit, and Kraven's Last Hunt, and rolls them all into one story. Like, it does all these major story arcs in here, and they all play, like, a significant part. Like, Peter does also the logical thing with the black costume, where the symbiote, where he's like, yeah, I'm a scientist, Reed. I know it was alive, but I'm getting old. I need it to protect my family and to protect others. So I really dug that. I really did dig that. I like how they condensed the Clone Saga with talking everything about Peter and Ben Reilly. I also really enjoyed... this is just a celebration of Spider-Man. Like, Chip Zdarsky really knows how to celebrate Spider-Man, and it still blows my mind that he still isn't doing the main line of Amazing. Probably because he's off writing Batman now. But, you know, he's only been one of the best writers at Marvel Comics in a while, along with Al Ewing, and his Daredevil run is just spectacular. And of course, he did do Spectacular Spider-Man. But yeah, here, this is like... This dude knows how to write Spider-Man. This dude really like, Chip Zdarsky really proves in this comic that this is a comic that he always wanted to write, and this is a celebration of Spider-Man. And who better to have in your celebration of Spider-Man than probably Spider-Man's most noted and most beloved artist, like, one of Spider-Man's most beloved artists, Mark Bagley. Like, when you think Spider-Man artists, he is one of the big three. Steve Ditko, John Romita Jr., well, 4, Romita and Sr., for Spider-Man, and Mark Bagley. Those are the 4. Ditko, Romita's Senior and Junior, Bagley. Those are the big four for Spider-Man. Like, when you think Spider-Man artists, and I think this is some of Bagley's best work, like, he just does some brilliant, like, just colors in here. Like, just look at this. Like, just look at how good this is. This is, the Secret Wars page. Yeah. It's just, you know, it's just a great comic, and I've, like, I know it's been talked about, from here to, you know, from end to end, and, like, everyone has brought it up, but this is a comic that I've said before is a celebration. It doesn't try to shit on anything, it you know, it makes sense of things. I will say, though, that, man, does Zdarsky really hate Iron Man? Like, he legit hates Iron, like, this dude has some serious hate for Iron Man. Like, he makes Tony, like, this just asshole who won't stop, you know, with weapons and needing to, like, prove that he's the he's the superior and all that. And he also like, Zdarsky brings up the point of the Civil War in this continuity. The Civil War between Iron Man and Captain America basically went on from the 60s all the way to the 2010s. And you know what happens when heroes fight each other? That the villains win, and Doctor Doom basically, like, you know, swooped in and all that. But that's not, like, what I also like about this comic is that it doesn't give you the full scope. It's just the world scope from Spider-Man's perspective. That's such a cool, like, I really love that concept, because it really does make you question, like, okay, so how did Doctor Doom win, or what happened with Fantastic Four? Although we are kind of getting that answer with Fantastic Four Life Story, which I've heard back and forth things that it's like a that Fantastic Four Life Story is kind of like a like a sister story to Spider-Man Life Story, but I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if it's its own thing or not. And I really hope we get more life story comics. I would really love to see, like, an X-Men life story or Hulk life story. Or Daredevil. Yeah, Daredevil would be kind of cool too, like a Daredevil life story. Yeah. So there you go. Thank you again, Chris, for this, and I can't wait for the next package to arrive. I think he said it's like sometime next week, this week, I can't remember, but it's supposed to be soon, so I'll be, of course, doing an unboxing of that, as I have done before. But yeah, you guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think? If you've read Spider-Man Life Story, what did you guys think of it? Just comment below, let me know. Other than that, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.